Upfront, viewers, India's armed forces have taken bullets on their chests so that we can sleep in peace. They've overcome challenges against China, Pakistan, countless terror groups, when others thought the odds were too unfavorable. They've built their reputation by sacrificing their lives, but never their honor, their dignity, or their sense of duty. Would then a force with such integrity compromise on a scheme that is integral to their own survival, their own traditions, their own hallowed history, their own image of themselves? Would they tow a political agenda just to undermine the national interest, when, as I told you, viewers, they sacrificed their everything to defend it? It just doesn't stand to reason. Just think about it. Had that been the case, had our army been of questionable character, we would have been Pakistan or some other flea-bitten, failed state in Africa run by a tin-pot dictator. In these countries, in these failed states, the forces have traded their souls for power and pelf. You have Idi Amin, not Sam Manekshaw. Viewers, have we forgotten that? India is a beacon of hope and stability in large part, measure, because of our resolute and disciplined armed forces. It is that resoluteness and that discipline that makes them stay put and fight a force that is thought to be more superior than us, like China. We smashed them in Galwan. We smashed them in Galwan because, viewers, our force is no terracotta army. It is built of sterner stuff. And it is this that lends it the conviction of action and gives it an exalted conscience that has led our forces today to take the Agni Pariksha. It's that same level of commitment in the face of fierce criticism from opposition parties and some youth organizations. Indeed, the army has issued an unofficial notification with regard to the Agnipath scheme that now sets the stage for recruitment in the next few days. But viewers, this decision, in all its wisdom, with all the conviction that our forces could muster, has elicited a shocking reaction from some opposition parties. They not only linked the army to brutish militias like the Nazis and Maoist terrorists, but also insinuated that the forces were working to further the agenda of the Nagpur-based RSS. That is what was being said about our forces, viewers. And it was not being said by some fringe leaders. It was being said by the likes of Salman Khurshid, the Oxbridge-educated, suave lawyer who was once the External Affairs Minister, Law Minister of this country. Viewers, it was said by the likes of Irfan Ansari, a Congress MLA, who puts his hand on India's constitution and takes oath. Vile things were said by Mallikarjun Kharge, member of parliament and one-time leader of opposition. These are not people, viewers, who are not in any way aware of the tradition of our forces. One can't excuse them for being ignorant. They are being malicious, viewers. Listen into some of these reactions where our own army, just because it is stood by a recruitment drive, a new process, reform that will build India, are being subjected to the kind of abuse that you would only reserve for your worst enemies. Listen to this.
4 साल के बाद अगर वो रिटायर हो जाएगा, रोजगार छीन ली जाएगी, तो वो क्या करेगा? बंदूक चलाना सीखेगा? लोग उनको यूज करेंगे कि हाँ भाई आ जाओ, इसका सुपारी लेगा। आप उनको आप ट्रेनिंग सिखा रहे हैं बंदूक का, उसके बाद वो लोग सुपारी लेगा कि हाँ भाई इसको मारो, उसको मारो, उसको मारो।
जिसके लिए बनाई है वो संतुष्ट हो जाए तो हमें क्या समस्या है, लेकिन जिसके लिए बनाई है वो बेचारा संतुष्ट नहीं है, वो चिल्ला रहा है, वो रो रहा है। तो जब तक वो रोएगा, हमारा ये दायित्व बनता है कि उसके रोने की बात, उसके दुख का विषय जो है वो हम देश के सामने रखें। और इसमें सिर्फ नौजवानों की समस्या नहीं है, नौजवानों की तो बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, बड़ी गंभीर समस्या है। लेकिन जो चरित्र है, जो कैरेक्टर हमारी फोर्सेस का, उस पर एक प्रश्न चिन्ह लग गया है। वो हमारे लिए सबसे बड़ा संकट का विषय है।
देखो, अग्निपथ ये तो 46,000 युवकों को वो क्या तैयार करके आरएसएस में लाना चाहते हैं, मुझे तो मालूम नहीं। कभी आपने सुना है क्या किसी देश में ऐसा हुआ है कि 4 साल ट्रेनिंग देना और छोड़ देना? यहाँ पर तो परमानेंट वैकेंसीज हैं। युवकों का जो आज हर जगह एजिटेटेड है, तो उनको अलग निकालने के लिए, उनका दिशा भटकाने के लिए ये काम कर रहे हैं।
ಈ 7.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ನಾವು 4 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಜಿ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಲ್ಲ, ನಾವಿನ್ನೂ ಹುಟ್ಟಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆಗ, ಆ ನಾಜಿ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯ ನಡೆದಾಗ ಹಿಟ್ಲರ್ದು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ತಾನೇ ಇದು ಉದ್ಭವ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಈ RSS. ಅದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಅಗ್ನಿಪಥ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹೆಸರನ್ನ ಅಗ್ನಿವೀರನ್ನ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟಿರೋದು.
Viewers, moments after the army notified the scheme, the Prime Minister also spoke at a separate event and made it clear that the reform will deliver in times to come many good things brought with good intentions. With time, these policies and reforms will benefit the nation. Those who are unwilling or not willing to accept the reality will perhaps realize one day. Listen into what the Prime Minister said.
पिछले साल मुझे डिफेंस कॉम्प्लेक्स के लोकार्पण का भी अवसर मिला था। हमारे देश का दुर्भाग्य है कि बहुत सी अच्छी चीजें, अच्छे उद्देश्य से की गई चीजें, वो ऐसी राजनीति रंग में फंस जाती हैं। कई फैसले, कई रिफॉर्म तात्कालिक रूप से अप्रिय लग सकते हैं, लेकिन समय के साथ उन रिफॉर्म्स का लाभ आज देश अनुभव करता है। आज हम देश के युवाओं से कह रहे हैं कि सरकार ने जो वर्ल्ड क्लास सुविधाएं बनाई हैं, इनमें अपने विजन को, अपने आइडिया को टेस्ट करें। केंद्र सरकार युवाओं को हर जरूरी प्लेटफॉर्म दे रही है।
Viewers, I want to open this out. What has it come to today? Insulting our braves to score a few points at the ballot? Is that what it's come to? I want to open this up and ask these questions. I don't know who to begin with. There's Tanveer Ahmed of the JDS. You just heard what his leader had to say. HDK, he called himself. HDK. Remember those 3 initials, viewers. It's very sad. It's very, very sad that Mr. HDK Kumaraswamy feels.
He is also called as Anna by the entire Kannadigas.
Well, sir.
He is also called as Anna by entire Kannadigas.
Well, sir, let me tell you, don't get.
He is called as Anna by all the Kannadigas. They call him as a brother. They know that their elder brother stands for them.
I am calling him by his initials.
Their elder brother has stood on
Tanveer
every
Ahmed,
aspect,
what
and
you have
every
said,
time he has
you
stood
have
by them.
compared
He
India's
has stood by
fighting force
Kannadigas.
to that
What are you
rabid
trying
cabal
to say?
called the
is
Nazis.
a leader for poor farmers.
That is what you have done
HDK
today.
is a leader who's really trying
You have
to
called
lift.
your army
He is not
a
talking
Nazi
anything about
force.
army. He's talking about BJP.
No,
and
you
their
have
ill
called your
motive.
army a
He
Nazi
is not
force.
talking anything about army.
Tanveer Ahmed,
He respects army much more
oh
than all of
really?
us
By
sitting
calling them
here.
a Nazi
He
force?
is
Listen, I'm not
talking
going to
about
shout over you.
The ill
You can
motive
shout.
of BJP.
You can shout.
Ill motive of BJP.
You
That's
can
it.
shout,
He's
sir.
called as
You can
Anna.
shout. I'm not
He's
going to
an
shout
Anna.
over
He's
you.
an elder brother of all Kannadigas.
I am not going to shout over you,
No,
sir.
I'm not shouting. I'm just
I am
telling
not
you
going to
that
shout
he's
over
called
you.
As HDK
You are
means
behaving
he's a leader
today,
for
sir.
Common man. He's
You
a
are-
leader for
you
poor.
are
He's
behaving
a leader
today.
Who's lifting the cabal
You
of
are
the BJP.
behaving today like the lynch mob.
No, I'm not behaving.
And that
You
is
can't
very, very
really
sad.
play.
You
can't
have no
really say
respect
that
for your
he's called as
forces. HDK,
and paint him as a bad
Kumaraswamy,
brush. You can't really do that.
HDK, Kumaraswamy, comes out and says that the army is so sold out that it will
Not
become
the
an
army.
instrument.
He said
Listen to me.
BJP.
Listen
he
to
didn't
me.
Say about army. He
RSS.
Said nothing about army.
You said that the RSS. Please stop shouting. Stop shouting. Stop. I'll play it again. I'll play his bite again. Viewers, listen to HDK Kumaraswamy again. Let's play his bite out. I am not going to stand in the way of the truth, viewers. You listen to the bite yourself. What does he say? He says that the army is going to be used by the RSS, as if the army is some plasticine in this country. It's ridiculous, viewers. We don't come from across the border where the army is plasticine in the hands of every passing misanthrope, carpetbagger, schmuck. The army in this country, viewers, is the only institution that has held up the framework of our nation against the greatest existential threats. From rescuing people from neck-deep floodwaters, to fighting in trenches to liberate nations. The army does it all. And these people call them or equate them to plasticine. Listen to HDK Kumaraswamy. Listen, viewers. Again, for the benefit of Tanveer Ahmed. For the benefit of Tanveer Ahmed.
ಈ 7.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಜಿ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾರೆ. ನಾವಿನ್ನೂ ಹುಟ್ಟಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆಗ. ಆ ನಾಜಿ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯ ನಡೆದಾಗ ಹಿಟ್ಲರ್ದು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ತಾನೇ ಇದು ಉದ್ಭವ ಆಗಿರೋದು, ಈ RSS. ಅದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಅಗ್ನಿಪಥ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹೆಸರನ್ನ ಅಗ್ನಿವೀರನ್ನ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೊರಟಿರೋದು.
And I am also going to keep his quote, his detailed quote, bottom of your screens, that translation band, viewers, so you can keep reading it. Now, Tanveer Ahmed, so tell me something. Agnipath scheme is the hidden RSS agenda. It's the Nazi movement with Agnipath that has been swallowed hook, line and sinker by the army brass, by our forces brass. Is that what Mr. Kumaraswamy, HDK, is trying to tell us? I'm asking you, sir.
Okay, let me answer. HDK Kumaraswamy is absolutely telling what is going to happen to those 75% who are going to come out of after 4 years. Are they going to be used by RSS? What are they going to do? You are going to really take them from 17.5 and 21 years, and after 4 years, 75% are going to be totally out. Why are they going to be out? To be an able officer, you need to be at 7 to 9 years in army. You can't really say that within 4 years you are going to create a soldier and then you are going to let 75% off. Rahul, it is an important and a serious question. It is not a question which is raised by Tanveer or HDK.
Nazi
a lot
movement.
of retired army officers,
Sir,
including
sir,
people who at the
Mr.
level
Ahmed,
of generals,
I want to ask
are
you a small
asking these
question.
questions.
I just want to ask you a small question. Will you send your own children
Please, sir.
to join the army for 4 years? And I want you to then show me and point out, there have been several officers who come out after short service commission. Show me one that has joined the ISIS. Point out one that has joined the Maoists. Point out one that is serving as a stooge of the RSS. Show me. Name me.
Rahul,
You name me. You name me. Where are your children, sir? I'm asking you, where will your children be?
I am not going to talk about army.
Don't talk about things you don't know anything about. Anyhow, let me open this up. I'm sorry, sir. It doesn't work. Are you trying to tell me that someone who joins the army, a young man who's going to join the army, is going to come out as indisciplined as some of your party cadre? And not just your party. All political parties,
Rahul,
in the manner in which they have behaved.
You are busy calling names today.
I'm not.
Just because you want to really talk
Is it not
about
true?
BJP,
Is it not true that all? No, is it not true that all party cadre cutting across? No, I'm asking you.
Not true. Absolutely not true.
Tanveer Ahmed, I'm asking you. Is it not true that party cadre is categorically across all political lines indisciplined? Would you doubt it? Should I show you evidence?
I don't know about other
of party cadre slapping veterans,
not in my party,
beating up? Well, I don't know, sir. Your own boss, HDK Kumaraswamy, is not sounding like a sophisticated. Anyhow, let me open this up. Shahzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. Sir, you have brought out a scheme by swallowing hook, line and sinker, or making the army hook, line and sinker by some scheme to cut money. Tanveer Ahmed and his ilk will tell you. Can you respond?
HDK honestly don't know why some people in their Vyakti Virod start doing Desh Virod and Sena Virod. HDK honestly don't know what better to expect from those who question surgical strike, Balakot airstrike, blame Pulwama on India. Once one HDK said that if you venerate the preemptive strikes, it will lead to communal tensions in India. HDK, I honestly don't know how you can call the army chief a Sadak Ka Gunda and go and hug Bajo and call him a Sona Munda. HDK honestly don't know. These are the people who for 42 years did not give OROP, did not give National War Memorial, did not give the CDS post, did not buy bulletproof jackets. These are the same people who said that they will allow any modernization of equipment, did not allow the Rafales to come in, and this is the policy. But honestly, don't know, HDK, Tanveer Ahmed, that today you only to do Virod of the army, Virod of Narendra Modi, you're doing Virod of army. Now I want to ask you the following question. Salman Khurshid says that the character of the armed forces can be questioned today. Is that true? Today you are saying that you are questioning that RSS people will join the armed forces. Isn't this questioning the integrity of the armed forces? Today Irfan Ansari says that these people will become contract supari killers. Congress has taken no action on him. Subodh Khan Sahay says Desh ki Hitler ki chaal chalega to Hitler ki maut marega. Who was Hitler during the emergency time? We all know. But today you are starting to abuse the Prime Minister's post, you are starting to abuse the Sena just because you have a problem with one policy and you are resorting to violence. And today look at the evidence. The Youth Congress actually stopped a train, they deleted this tweet. You have the NSY district president who's also involved in violence, he's been arrested. Today you have people provoking this violence as if they are AICC. All India Congress Committee has become Anarchy Inko Chahiye Committee. SP has become Sampati. RJD has become Rail Jalao Dal. Today my question to them is that is this Satyagraha, is this the Gandhian way of protesting? And finally, when you say that these people, these Agniveers who will do Naam Namak Nishan Ki Seva will become Maoists and Naxalis, you say that they will be the ones who will actually pick up a gun and become contract supari killers. Isn't this the ultimate insult? HDK, kya hua hai aapko? Honestly,
then why don't you give them full-time employment, sir? Why don't you give them full-time employment?
Very
why
good
don't
question.
you really
Now
take them for it?
Now Tanveer Ahmed.
Take off 75%.
Yes, Tanveer Ahmed. Very good question.
For the betterment
can I ask
of the
you a
society.
question? Tanveer Ahmed, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Please answer this question.
Yes, sir.
When you graduated, when you graduated, you got a degree and you came out. Did you have the opportunity that 25% would be absorbed in the armed forces, the remaining 75% would get preference or quota in various areas, including the CAPF, including the various ministries, the PSUs, and would get an 11.7 lakh rupee bank balance along with another 9 lakh, 10 lakh rupees in your savings? Did you have this opportunity when you graduated? Today these people are getting this opportunity, but instead of telling them, yes, this is good, go serve Ma Bharati, Kargil Review Committee has recommended this, you are coming and inciting them, and you are insulting them by saying that they'll become Naxalites. Can you name me 2 people from the armed forces who become Naxalites? You would not become a Naxalite. You would not become a Naxalite. Nobody else become a Naxalite. But Bhupesh Baghel said these people who have trained under the armed forces will become Naxalites.
Okay, look, viewers, these political parties, they spare no one. And I'm talking about political parties across the board. They are so feckless that they can come out and say about the army and the sense of discipline. Keep quiet. Sense of discipline that is instilled in our forces even for 4 years.
Rahul,
you know what they say?
Do you want to really call
Do
all
they
the
want to
opposition
prepare
only?
46,000
why do you
youth?
call names only to opposition? Call
I am being very democratic across the board. I have not said that one particular political party. I've said them all.
You just said across.
I've said them all across the board. Do you understand English?
Okay. All right.
Now just keep quiet.
Yes, I do.
Because you have a
BJP leads the
horrible
table.
habit of constantly talking and putting your foot in your mouth. Now please keep quiet and listen. Mallikarjun Kharge, these are not my words, viewers. It's a Congress member of parliament. Do they want, that is the BJP, want to prepare 46,000 youth and bring them to the RSS? What do you mean by this? That the army, after 4 years of training these youth, they will be so feckless. They will have no moral compass, that they will go with whoever, whether it is some Naxal movement or the BJP or the RSS or whoever else. You know, viewers, there is one big lacuna in this scheme. They should have made it compulsory for all netas and their children. All of these chaps who sit here and abuse the army, all of them, across the board, all these netas, their children should have been forced to serve in the army. Then they would have realized what happens after 4 years in the army. Dr. Ranganath.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. Tanveer Bhai is a very dear friend, and I hope he won't interrupt me or mind my saying this, that if tomorrow he goes to a neurosurgeon for his brain surgery, is he going to tell the neurosurgeon कि डॉक्टर साहब यहाँ से नहीं यहाँ कट मारना क्योंकि मुझे पता है. I am astonished when he says that he is telling you that Rahul, an able defense force officer, becomes able only after 7 to 8 years. So he means to say that our 3 chiefs of the armed forces do not know, but Tanveer knows कि भाई 8 साल में ही बढ़िया ऑफिसर बनता है, आर्मी या नेवी या एयरफोर्स का 4 साल में नहीं बनता है. But and the other thing, Rahul, the other day I gave you 7 reasons why I support Agnipath, and they're all logical and rational reasons. But one thing that people have to keep in mind, A, is what General Rawat said. This is not a Manrega employment guarantee scheme, and B, the armed forces are well within their rights, as is every organization, to have a 2-step or a 3-step or a 4-step selection process. They want the best of the best. If 100 people have been inducted, the defense forces are within their rights to say that, look, out of these 100, we have trained them for 4 years, and now the time has come for the second rung in the selection process. We want only 25 who are the best of the best amongst these hundreds. And the 75, there are ample opportunities for them. They have earned money, they have earned respect. They're only 21 to 22. They are going to be absorbed in a lot of other ancillary forces. But can I please come back to the topic, because I don't want to, my time to be eaten away in rebutting inanities. Rahul, the fact of the matter is that in trying to usher in any new reform, the Modi government is literally now having to walk on Agnipath. ये रिफॉर्म नहीं आसान, इतना तो समझ लीजिए, ये आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है, और डूब रहे हैं हम. But this is to be expected. Remember, when the opposition can orchestrate absolute mayhem and outrage over the farm reforms that they had promised in their own manifestos, what chance do those reforms have that aren't in their manifestos? It is very unfortunate that the excellent Agniveer scheme is being mocked by the Congress by uttering inanities like if you wish to train as a barber or a washerman, then become an Agniveer. Has to be said though, that the situation is not being helped in any measure by the BJP ministers who are falling over each other, offering positions of security guards in BJP offices to the Agniveers who aren't inducted into the armed forces after 4 years. What is the BJP doing? Why can't it exclusively let the armed forces speak on Agniveer, bhai? I think this is a case study in the way any policy or scheme has to be handled, messaged and conveyed to the people it is intended for. The problem is we live in a world where our politicians and their parties are over-eager to claim credit for even the smallest contributions, from opening tunnels to swimming pools to arterial roads to canteens, and this is what has resulted in Agniveer's disastrous miscommunication, wherein the government has now added more points than there were in the original Agniveer. You wanted credit, now be prepared to face criticism. Let me very briefly, Rahul, explain by way of an example of classic statecraft. You remember this. In the build-up to the 2003 Iraq war, when the US was arm twisting India to join in,
Yes.
the then PM Vajpayee called up his communist friend Gurudas Das Gupta and asked his opinion. Gurudas obviously protested, to which Vajpayee said, well, where are your protests? I don't see them. And then he smiled. Gurudas understood and smiled as well. The very next day, the communists erupted in street protests, warning ABV to not join the US war effort. And at the same night, ABV told Bush, I'm sorry, I'm helpless in the wake of massive street protests. Coming back to Agniveer, I dare say, none of this mocking and violent protests would have happened had the government simply allowed the army to not take the entire credit for the scheme, but also exclusively announce it, launch it, answer all the queries regarding it from start to finish. Rahul, just 30 seconds. The armed forces are the most hallowed and respected institution in this country. By and large, politicians stay away from confronting them. Had the government not been overeager to take credit for the scheme, it would have appeared as a helper, even an initiator, and someone who prodded the armed forces to bring in this much needed reform. But they wanted credit, and as a result are now facing criticism. One just hopes, and this is what I fear, they won't be forced to roll back this scheme like they had to the farm laws.
You know, I don't care if the government faces criticism. It's no skin on my back or yours, Dr. Ranganathan. What I care about is when the army itself is mocked and ridiculed, whether it is by BJP leaders or by JDS or Congress or TMC leaders. It's not acceptable. Colonel RSN is sitting here and he must wonder. He must wonder what has come of us or come over us. I want to read out from the Army's own website. Lokesh Jindal, please listen. This is not Heidegger. This is the Army's own website. Please listen now, very carefully. It is philosophical. It is important. The values of the Army infused in the soldier through years of training are enumerated below. So what the website says. Esprit de corps, the spirit of comradeship and brotherhood of the brave, regardless of caste, creed or religion. The motto is one for all and all for one. Non-discrimination. The Indian Army does not discriminate on account of a caste, creed or religion. A soldier is a soldier first and anything else later. He'll always be a soldier first, sir. He will not be an RSS person. He will not be Nazi. He will not be a Maoist. He will not be denominational. He will be a soldier first. He prays under a common roof. It is this unique character which makes him bind in a team despite such diversity. This is the value system you get, Lokesh Jindal. Not what you learn in political parties where ideologies are traded like you trade your underwear. Sorry to say, your undergarments. One day you're with one party, the other you're with another, whether it's BJP or Congress or JDU or whatever it is, PJD or God alone knows what. It doesn't matter. So I want to ask you, sir, Mr. Jindal, when Malika Arjun Kharge says, do they want to prepare 40,000 youth and bring them to the RSS? Do you think these youth that have studied this motto, which will be drilled into their heads, do you think they will trade being a soldier to become some RSS Shakha Pramukh? Do you think so lowly, Mr. Jindal, of our army and its training?
I'll just come to that question first. Let
No,
me.
please answer the question.
highlight that
I
point.
don't want to hear your lectures. I want you to answer my question. I don't have the time.
Sir, please tell me why did the Indian Armed Forces personnel join the Khalistanis? Can you please answer this? Even they had the same motto. Even they had been trained with the same ideology, with the same form of conditioning.
Sir.
But they were radicalized.
Sir.
The point is, there is always a room for radicalization.
No, one
if
second.
at all any soldier is not provided with the right avenues.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
I mean, you know.
Yes, please.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Please.
The last I remember, there was a gentleman from your party called Mr. Sidhu. Do you remember him?
Yes, please.
You know who he was hugging? He was hugging the army chief of Pakistan. Was he radicalized? It's a question I want to ask you.
Our previous army chief, he had matrimonial relations with the Pakistani army chief. So please don't bring these personal equations into this institution.
I cannot believe this, man. The same army chief. Are you? No. Which army chief are you talking about? Can you tell us?
I don't have the name, but I can.
Oh, you don't have the name?
With responsibility.
Scandalous. What are you saying? You just made this charge on behalf of the Congress.
I don't blame him because the Congress
let me tell
party cadre have called our deceased and selflessly serving India Army Chief General Rawat, who went on to become the first.
I never said General Rawat. I never said General Rawat.
You have actually insulted all of them by not taking a name. You have insulted the legacy of every army chief.
I cannot believe this.
If I may just come in for 10 seconds, Rahul. Rahul, I have great regard for Anand.
Let me complete.
1 second, sir. You have spoken a lot and you have said a lot, and what you have left unsaid has besmirched the entire armed forces. Please don't say anymore. Please don't say anymore. You had Anand Ranganathan rightly quote the example of Vajpayee ji. Vajpayee ji never got up in parliament and asked for proof when we took the action on Pakistan and divided Pakistan into two parts. But today when we have leaders who sit on national television and they question the integrity of our armed forces, they call the army chiefs Sadaka Gunda, they do not give OROP and they say why do they need OROP? When they do not give National War Memorial and say why do they need National War Memorial? When they question the need for bulletproof jackets, when they question the need for Rafales, today then it becomes imperative for the government of the day to stand visibly, physically and every manner with the armed forces and tell them that we politically back our armed forces without question, full stop. So Anand, while you're right, some may see miscommunication, but we must say that those who misguide will not be allowed to get away with this kind of nonsense that Congress party.
Just 1 minute. You know, I want to tell Lokesh Jindal. He's giving homilies. One minute, Dr. Ranganathan, 1 minute. This is important. You see, Lokesh Jindal, 1 minute. You talk about radicalization of Sikhs in the army. Let me remind you that the man who led Operation Blue Star was Kuldeep Singh Brar. He was a Sikh. I don't want to invoke his religion. One of the first personnel who entered the Golden Temple to fight the terrorists was Captain Jasbir Singh Raina, a Sikh who entered and was fired upon by Bhindranwale's men. Those at the forefront against Khalistani radicalization were Sikhs themselves.
What I intend to say
no,
is...
you don't intend to say. You are a person who is specializing today in besmirching our armed forces. You have made it, sir. You have made it. 1 minute. Colonel RSN. Colonel RSN. They won't take the comment. Did they take the Sadaka Gunda comment back? No, they haven't taken it back. Have they? Have they? No. No. They haven't. They will not. Colonel RSN. Please speak up, sir. Dr. Sashi Panja is also waiting her turn. Yes. Colonel RSN, you are hearing politicians today come up with all sorts of rationale to question the integrity of the forces. How do you feel?
Sir, we never question the integrity of the forces, please.
You are calling them you are calling them political forces. Can I?
Yes, sir. Colonel RSN, go ahead.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
I said you are alluding to them as, you know, political forces, political parties. I don't know if CPI, ML, Marxist-Leninist, very closely allied with China, very closely allied. They were the ones who danced all night when 76 CRPF soldiers were killed. And in the entire area where I hail from, that area of Patna, Danapur, Jahanabad, Masaudi, Pali, they have won, 5-6 seats in the last elections. And they were at the forefront, creating mayhem in the Danapur cantonment. They were the ones who were spearheading all this, burning and of trains, right? So I said they were the ones who danced all night when 76 soldiers were killed. Very closely aligned to China. You call them political forces? They are the ones who kidnapped that day I told you on your program, the air chief twice, La Fontaine, robbed him. And then a Jawan from a unit called Sham Kishore Prasad. By the way, his brother was a group captain, a fighter pilot in the Air Force. And very, very closely, closely associated with all the operations, 2611 operations. This is what you call them, political forces? And whom do you call political forces, sir? Her Majesty, who goes and signs a secret MOU with China, you call that political forces? At the same time that the Jamaat-e-Islami of Pakistan signed an MOU with the Communist Party of China, this empress signed that MOU. Her son quietly went during the Dokram crisis into the Chinese embassy. Nobody is asked. Even the judiciary hasn't. If I would have been the Chief Justice of India, I would have taken a suo moto. What did he talk? What are the contents of the MOU? You call them political forces? Tell me, do you call them political forces?
So and Singh knows more than the Chief Justice of India.
Nonsense, that 4 years, 5 years. अरे भाई 5 साल में तो शॉर्ट सर्विस बहुत दिन से चल रहा है. वो नक्सलाइट बन गए. नक्सलाइट तो अब who spearheaded that tukde gang? The main leader of that tukde gang hasn't he switched parties? अब किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? They you think can be well-wishers of our armed forces?
No, it is a bit shocking. Let me bring in.
गुंडा नहीं बोलेगा उसके. That is how that man has been brought up from the gutters.
Let me ask Dr. Shashi Panja. Dr. Shashi Panja.
Not a very difficult question.
Sorry to come to you a little late.
1 minute.
1 second, Colonel.
1 minute, sir. What? 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Don't smile. Don't smile. I don't like that smile. I'm talking very serious. Don't smile. I ask you a question. You say that in 4 years you can't train a soldier. He doesn't become and he'll join RSS and whatever it is, or whatever he becomes. How much time it takes? How much time does it take for the children of politicians to become politicians? Can you tell me?
Well.
And at what age does he aspire to become the chief minister or the prime minister of the country? Jawab denge aap iska?
Well, it is very sad. It is very sad. Dr. Panja, let me come in 1 minute. Let me come in now. Colonel Saab, 1 second. Let me come in.
1 minute. You are trying to censor him. But that is calls him HDK. HDK's father was the prime minister of this country.
Well, that's what I was saying.
In English.
Sir, that is what I was saying, Colonel Saab. That's what I was saying, that none of these people who are making these statements today are people who don't know the contribution of our armed forces. And I want to bring in Dr. Panja. She's been very patient. 1 minute, sir. Dr. Panja, I want to talk to you about this. Look, you can call the BJP what you want to. You can rubbish the RSS. You can say what you want against them. But why? Why insinuate that the armed forces, the people who are going to join them even for a period of 4 years, will be so without character that they will barter their training because some person will offer them something? Dr. Panja, is that right? I'm asking you tonight.
This is not the statement of Trinamool Congress or its leaders. We have merely said that, first of all, let me express my highest and deepest regards for the armed forces, because having gone through the discussion, it appears that the opposition is being battered very badly. I mean, we are not traitors. We love our country. We are not anti-nationals. So we of course condemn the violence also which has erupted after the declaration. Please allow me to speak. I have waited long enough.
Let him finish. Let her finish.
I have been polite enough not to interject during the discussion.
Yes. Carry on.
It is just that we are concerned, and we are just saying that we have heard that it took almost about 1.5 years of consultation, internal consultation. So is it very wrong if we say that why was this introduced without consultation with the opposition or various other parties?
That's a valid point.
Is it wrong to ask?
Nothing wrong with that. But how do you view, Dr. Panja, what these other leaders have said? And I want to ask you, because
we are very concerned, Rahulji.
The TMC has been a party that has shown itself to be independent of all the other rabble. So I want to ask you, Irfan Ansari says that these boys, when they come out of the army, will become supari killers.
Rahulji, it is difficult for me to respond to such.
No, but you must.
But we are also shocked.
As a patriotic Indian, forget about a TMC spokesperson, as a doctor, as a patriotic Indian, just speak as an Indian today. Forget your party affiliation. Do you think...
Of course, these are unwarranted statements.
These are unwarranted statements.
See, and on the same line, may I continue?
I applaud you, Dr. Panja. I applaud you tonight. I really do. It takes courage to speak up, especially in a trying situation like this, when 40 others from other political parties will raise, fingers, etc., etc. So I salute you, Dr. Panja, for at least having some conviction.
Can I have 10 seconds? Just 10 seconds.
We are also shocked by the senseless. We are also actually shocked by the senseless remarks of the ministers themselves, who have said that after 4 years, that they will employ them as security guards in the BJP offices.
Not done.
Don't you think this is also a humiliation to the armed forces?
Not done.
Where the BJP has issued
the BJP should respond. The BJP is here. Let the BJP respond. Shehzad Poonawala. Do you think those remarks that were made by your Kailash Vijay Vargiya and some others,
Kishan Reddy,
are they in the right spirit?
First of all, let me say this.
No, answer the question. Don't go first or second or answer a specific question, like I asked Lokesh Jindal. Now, he made a fool of himself on national TV. You're much too wise. So please, simple, straight question. Do you think it was warranted?
As far as the opportunities for Agniveers are concerned, those have been articulated by the various ministries and by the armed
forces. Your BJP spokesman.
Should they have? Should they have spoken in the way they spoke?
Are they correct?
Well, I would definitely say that on issues like these, when you don't have the full knowledge, one should refrain from speaking. But having said that, I would want to ask Dr. Shashi Panja.
May I continue, please?
Can I, Dr. Shashi Panja? Just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. Dr. Shashi Panja, once somebody said that Pulwama took place because Lok Sabha elections were around the corner and therefore this was done so that we could go to war. What do you make of that statement? Do you think it's an anti-national statement?
We are very concerned because Pulwama should not have taken place.
So you think that it was done because Lok Sabha elections were around the corner?
It's the intelligence failure of the government of India.
So
and you have not admitted that.
Pakistan is not to blame. So Pakistan is not to blame.
The opposition will not take the blame for the failures of the central government.
So Pakistan will not take the blame for your failures. Pulwama was a terror attack. It was an attack on the BJP.
No.
You are refraining from calling Pulwama Pakistan's terror attack. This is the reality.
Aspirations of the youth.
This is the reality.
You have not understood the aspirations of the youth.
It 10 seconds
and today you are comparing this with the Manrega scheme. It's most unfortunate.
She won't even come out and say Pulwama was a Pakistan plot.
You cannot compare.
She won't even say Pakistan was a Pulwama was a Pakistan
plot. The army
she will not even have the gumption to say Pulwama was a Pakistan plot. And they can't say we stand for Sena.
She
was in government when Uvaruti was hanging. She was in government when NWM was hanging. She was in government when bulletproof jackets were given. She was in government when Rafale wasn't given. She was in government when Apaches were not brought. She was in government when CDS was not done. She was in government when the Indian armed forces were told that LAC infrastructure nahi banana hai. She was in government.
You couldn't anticipate.
Pakistan is not to blame.
Okay, one second. Let's hold fire. Please hold fire.
No.
I want to quickly. Let's get back to the.
Rahulji, there's something wrong with this.
No, Dr. Panja, 1 minute.
The only thing wrong
both of you. No, Mr. Poonawala, Dr. Panja.
You choose to blame our security
Okay, now 1 second. Both of you, please. Please,
no,
hold your
I wish
horses.
to come to this.
One.
I wish, may I?
Yes,
May
yes.
I?
30
May I
seconds,
please?
ma'am.
Is
30 seconds.
Pakistan
1
to blame
minute,
for
please.
Pulwama, yes or no?
Please, I'm going to run out of time otherwise. Please.
I mean,
Please.
none of them allow. No, don't please talk about the recruitment.
Okay, look.
Why don't you talk about the recruitment?
Look,
We
ma'am.
are speaking about
Look,
the
ma'am.
recruitment.
Look,
What
look
else
1
are we
minute.
speaking
Dr.
about?
Panja, I just want to ask
Why have they
you.
been cancelled?
I just want to
So
ask
we
you
are
one
asking
question.
about all those vacancies. Am
Okay.
I there?
Yeah, fair enough.
Am I audible, please?
Yes, you're audible. We can hear you. Just 1 second. I just need to step in here.
Am
We're
I
running out of
audible?
time. We're running out of time. Yes, you're audible. I just want to come in, stepping a little out of the frame. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, let's get to the point of discussion here. This is about questioning the integrity of the armed forces and the values that are imparted by the armed forces. That's what this is about, isn't it?
Yes. No, absolutely, Rahul. And very briefly, even though, of course, I applaud Dr. Shashi Panja for saying what she had, and thank you for saying that. I do not want to waste my breath on criticizing or being critical of the Congress, because it really is condemnable what my good friend Lokesh Jindal was insinuating, talking of the mutiny in the Sikh regiment in the wake of 1984 on Operation Blue Star. That is totally condemnable, and his statement that by way of marriage there is an alliance between ex-army chief and ex-Pakistan army chief, that is totally condemnable.
I never said that.
But I don't want to do
Allow
that.
me to say what
The
I'm
point
trying to
is,
say.
Lokesh, please don't
completely, or
interrupt. I don't
you
have
simply
enough
just
time.
put,
I
some
beg
words
you,
in my
Lokesh,
mouth.
please don't do that.
Sir, I
Lokesh,
never
I
said
did not
that.
interrupt
How
you.
can
You know, this is
how can you put
unfair.
those words
I've
in
been
my
waiting
mouth?
for 40 minutes. Everyone heard you.
Sir,
Everyone
because
heard you.
won't let me
Rahul,
complete
did he
what I'm
not say
trying to
this?
say.
What was this
Because
marriage alliance he was talking
you
about?
simply interrupt me in between, and you simply interpret whatever I was trying to say in your
Mr.
own manner.
Jindal, you said
What was the marriage
exactly
alliance?
what you said.
What was the marriage
No one
alliance?
interpreted
What I'm
it.
intending to say is
You said why did Sikhs end up from the army
personal
joining
relations
Khalistan
with that of
movement?
institutions.
It was shameful. It was not right.
Yes.
It was not something that is expected
listen,
of
sir,
a
let me
mainstream
tell you,
Congress
I
national
myself-
spokesperson. It's
No,
not right.
let me tell you.
But Rahul, I
I
wanted to
myself
make an
has been
important
an
point.
army aspirant.
Can I-
Due to
you know,
eyesight, I could not join it. But I
Sir,
always
you don't have
dreamt of being
foresight.
into army.
Your problem is foresight, not eyesight. It's foresight,
let me
not
tell you,
eyesight. Let me
foresight
tell
is
you,
absolutely
your
correct,
eyesight
sir.
would have been 20/20. Your foresight was very,
No, let me tell you. Please do not
deficient.
question
One
my
minute. Dr.
respect to the armed
Ranganathan,
forces.
very quickly. Look, I don't want to get into this scrap. Please, I'm done with it. Dr. Ranganathan, make your point. I need to move on.
Yes, as citizens, I think all of us should criticize the ruling dispensation. And here I want to ask very simple question to my good friend Shehzad, my brother Shehzad. 2 points very quickly. Number one, as I've already said, the BJP had no reason to not only trumpet this scheme but take credit for it. The army, the armed forces should have come up, launched exclusively the scheme, answered everything here. Because I'll tell you what has happened now. The brochure that was supplied to everyone on the day of the launch of Agniveer did not have these 7 points that the government is now saying was already there and deliberated during the 1.5 years. You look at the brochure, these 7 SOPs are missing. Like we will give 10% reservation in MOD, we will give 10% to this, we will give UGC. All those points are missing, Shehzad.
Yeah, okay.
So obviously those are an afterthought. BJP should not have come in here. This was exclusively an armed forces thing. Because just 10 seconds, Shehzad. 10 seconds.
Please go ahead.
If an engineering body, Shehzad, yeah, please just hear me out 10 seconds. Thank you. Of course, absolutely. If an engineering body wants to induct engineers, does it want political interference? You have NEET exam. Do politicians come in and tell the doctors, भाई ये exam पूछो? तो भाई army और defense forces का अपना exam है, उनको करने दो ना. बीच में क्यों आ रहे हो यार?
Now, very humbly, Anand, the announcement was not made by the BJP. It was made by the Raksha Mantri, and the Raksha Mantri in the hierarchy of our defense establishment leads the team, and along with him were the generals, the armed forces chief, the chiefs of the 3 forces. But Raksha Mantri also said on day 1 that this is not the final announcement. There will be more announcements to come. as far as this is concerned. And when a government stands visibly and physically with the armed forces saying that we have got your back, this is the difference. In 2611, Manmohan Singh said, sorry, madam is not allowing me to do anything, therefore we can't take on Pakistan or those terror camps. Today this government says, yes, we will stand by you, whatever are your demands, OROP to National War Memorial, to Apaches, to to defense corridors, to Atmanirbhar, to increasing the budget. We will stand by our armed forces. We are not one bit ashamed by it.
Okay, well, look.
We are all
One second, everybody. 1 second, please. Viewers, let's not drag our armed forces to the muck of politics. Let's not do that. Whether it's the opposition or the BJP or the examples that Dr. Ranganathan has sort of brought out here to paint all with the same brush, let's not do that. Colonel RSN is absolutely right. No one here in the political establishment can stand on any soapbox and lecture our military. They just don't have the credibility to do so. We should accept it. Viewers, let's move on.